This is Slug from Atmosphere. Right now, you should never break your records. Keep them, give them to your kids. But you are listening to Breaking Records Radio right now. Damn it.
All right.
Woo.
Woo, woo, woo. All right.
We're back.
So
we're back. We took a little break, and here we are. We're back.
I like the KMD hoodie. That's nice.
Oh, yeah. It probably needs to be washed at this point. I've been wearing this for a couple weeks.
Just like the new track pants.
Kind of. That's how we roll, bro. Like laundry. Who got time for laundry? I'll do a whole load of underwear.
That's what most of my loads would be, honestly. But so this is an episode of Rap Nerds here. Typically what I do when I do the interviews in person is I start off by playing a song, kind of just a song from the history, and kind of get reminiscent of what was kind of going through your mind at the time. I feel like over Zoom is not really the best place to do that quality wise and stuff, so I decided to go a different approach this time. I decided to go with something up, and because of my stupid background focus.
Nah, it's okay. My vision was about that blurry when we made that album, so that's about right.
You know exactly what it is, though. For the people who can't tell,
the Overcast EP.
Yes, and actually you can't see it here, but it does have a little slug signature with a smile on it from when I met you at the Opera House as well, too, when you were coming out of a bathroom.
The Opera House, T-Dot, the bathroom. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that room. I love that room. Yeah. I miss that room. I want to play there again. The Opera House was the bomb. Let me think. Where was the spot to eat? We always would stay at the hotel. There's like a hotel right down the street across the park. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it might just be a Days Inn. I don't know. But anyway.
There's a spot called oh man, I actually work right around the corner from there. Is it Isabella?
Nah.
Is that the spot? No. Okay, might be the Days Inn just south then.
I think it's the Days Inn. And also the Opera House, that's also called the Phoenix, right?
The Phoenix is a separate venue. I'm thinking of the Phoenix when I'm talking about. Yes, my bad.
Okay.
My bad.
I'm thinking of the Phoenix too, by the way. The Phoenix is by the Days Inn. Yep.
Yeah, and the Phoenix is by the Days Inn. That's on what's it called there? Anyways, not that it matters. But that being said, are you actually guys going to be coming through Toronto again on this tour?
I hope so. I don't know. We go anywhere that books us, man. So just tell the promoter in Toronto, come on, man, book them. Yeah.
So basically, we just got to get enough Uprise out here to get you guys back, eh?
Uprise.
But so with the Overcast EP, I didn't have a chance, like I said, to play anything. But I do have something else from that era that I can play that I don't think will get a copyright flag on, that is short enough that we'll be able to get. But when you hear this, kind of tell me kind of where nostalgia takes you back in your mind.
To anyone who reaches press-only bands online or bootleg this, I will ensure that the fleas of 1 million camels infest your pubic area.
Ooh, it's disgusting. Yeah, that's J-Dog. That's Janessa. She's the voice that you hear there. And I regret doing that. What we had done is we had made copies of the advance to send out to press, and we added that to the press copy, and it actually offended people.
Really?
Because it was listen, we had a full-on publicist. We were going in heavy and trying to get as many people to fuck with us as possible, which meant we were shooting higher on the poll than we probably should have been, right? We were shooting at like your Rolling Stone, your Spin magazines, your, whatever it was that was the big back then, right? And those people were not ready for some rapper they'd never heard of to show up and be, sardonic or to be, tongue in cheek, a dick. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I thought they were ready because in my world, Eminem made it so you could do fucking anything. You could talk whatever shit you wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But maybe that's the point. Eminem was big. He was allowed to do that. Here was this person who these people hadn't heard of at this point doing that, and they weren't ready for it. Now, granted, I don't think it ruined anything for us, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I didn't mean to offend you or make you feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to make people feel bad. I'm here to make you relate to feeling bad. That's different.
Well, it's like the line on the new album, right? If you can relate, that's cool, I guess. But also my condolences.
Ah, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. It's a good one. That's a really good one too. But even with you bringing up Eminem, there's actually when I mentioned there's a piece of your lineage I actually wasn't 100% aware about when we spoke last. One of them is actually kind of one thing that you guys kind of share in one way, and that's the history with Scribble Jam.
Yeah. You know, Rhymesayers had been to Scribble Jam, but I had never been able to get off work to go. For some reason or another, it fell on a weekend that I could never make that trip. And then when they came back talking about the Eminem battle, I was just like, I'm going to quit my job next year if they won't let me go. You know what I mean? Like, so I went the next year, but at that point, Eminem had already kind of like started to take off. Yeah. He had, I don't know if he had blown up yet, but it was starting. You knew this is going to be big. You know what I mean? Like you could tell, because that year that I got to Scribble Jam, actually, I was surrounded by people who were talking shit about Eminem. That's how I knew, oh, this dude's going to be fucking huge, because all those Scribble people, all the battlers and all the MCs and whatever, you know, when Eminem and Juice had that battle, they all looked at it like, this event, this community is at part responsible for Eminem's rise. And so when Eminem didn't come back to battle again the next year, they all looked at it like, oh, they felt like he had dissed them. And so everybody was on some anti-Eminem shit. I remember that. Now, I worked retail. I worked in a record store at the time. And I was watching already the rollout of Eminem and was like, oh, he's dope. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is fucking dope. And so when I got to Scribble and saw everybody hating on him, like I said, that's when I knew, oh, I can't wait until everybody at Scribble hates on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I just knew. I was like, this dude is about to be the fucking biggest thing ever. And he was. Like, it's like, you know, in the face of a lot of challenges, a lot of people will be like, oh, they'll come up and they'll speak about the reasons why Eminem blew up, and they'll talk about it in a way that's like, he didn't deserve it. They'll talk about, you know, he's white, and so the white kids jumped on. And that's true. You know, even I'm pretty sure even he's spoken to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's true. It is what it is. But they don't talk about the challenges. They only talk about the things that was laid out and made easy for him. They don't talk about the 10 years prior to his blow up. You know what I'm saying? And so he had to put it in front of people's faces via movies, videos. You know, he was never given the space to actually speak on it, because he was smart enough to know that people will look at it as if he's like trying to cop a plea. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so the rest of us historians, when we speak on him, we should at least give him the respect of understanding and just knowing, like, I saw how hard it was for me. So I can only imagine, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so when we speak on it, you know, just to make sure the record is real, just to make sure that it states what it's supposed to state, you can speak to how, yeah, once he got the budget behind him and they were able to put him into the ears of suburbia, yes, it blew the fuck up. But for him to get to that space where a record label was willing to put that much on him, that was a struggle. He was not like this fucking overnight success. You know what I'm saying? No,
definitely not. And I mean, even because I know it wasn't, I don't believe it's Scribble Jam, or no, I believe it was Scribble Jam, where is either that or Rap Olympics, either or, but where you know, somebody from Interscope was working and liked his battle and took the actual EP he had to Interscope, which went to Ivy and Dre, whatever way it went. But you know, without having that groundwork in the years of work to even create an EP of that caliber to have there after that battle, there is that battle's just a battle, right? So there is no it's hard work for everybody the years that go previous to it. You know, it's
when I first heard the Slim Shady EP, pre-Interscope, pre all that shit. Well, I'll even go back further. When I first heard Infinite, I was like, oh, this dude can rap. He kind of reminded me. He reminded me of
that then.
Yeah, and he reminded me
Wow.
of AZ. He reminded me of AZ and Nas, and that was the thing that, if anything, that was the thing that held it back a little for me. I knew he could rap. His rhyming was on point. His you know his fucking enunciation, his placements, everything. I was like, oh yeah, this dude is a fucking rapper. He's dope, and he's from Detroit. Tight. Because to me, just anywhere in the Midwest, I was like, I'm a champion. Your shit working in retail. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're that much closer to me. If I could sell your tape, maybe I could sell my tape. You know what I mean? And so it's like, so if people will take you serious, then maybe they'll take me serious. That's how I seen that back then. Then I heard the Slim Shady EP and was like, okay, he don't sound like AZ no more. Now he kind of reminds me of Redman. And that was more palpable for me, coming from this dude who obviously had, you know, funny punchlines. Fucking, he was saying ill shit. So the Redman thing was like, it's more shock value-y kind of, you know, and I don't mean shock value in like a daggers through your eye or, but more like, this dude just said that, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, okay. He was like Redman. And that's when I was like, this dude is fucking dope. But I didn't know that yet that he was going to blow up. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think you could sell that to the mainstream. I thought that was for us. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was for people who listen to fucking bars and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, when I started to see the haters, that's when I was like, oh, well, that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what they do to you. They either hate on you really hard or they set you up for a disappointment. And with Eminem, they hated on him really hard and he did it. With Nas, they set you up for a disappointment. They started calling Nas, I don't know if you remember, but when Nas came out, they were like, oh, he's the next Rakim. Look, there's no such thing as the next Rakim. And condolences to anybody they ever say that about. Just like I don't want them to say this is the next Nas, because there's no way to live up to the next Jay-Z, the next Drake, whatever the fuck. There is no next. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so when everybody started hating on Eminem, that's when I was like, yeah, this fucking guy, he's about to be huge. And he was, and it was like that. It was like nothing, but whatever, man. The writing was
overnight.
there. The writing was there. The rapping was there. So he was going to be a legend in hip hop, but I think that they were able to figure out how to sell that shit to suburbia, or I won't see even, I don't want to diss suburbia. That sounds bad, but more so to mainstream. Yeah. I mean, they're able to sell that dude to people who had no business wanting to hear fart jokes in raps. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was like, what an amazing achievement, in all honesty. Like it's pretty interesting.
And it's kind of a perfect storm, that era too, because with that era, you had kind of the alternative metal, like that metal kind of, you know, like
the Limp Bizkit
porn,
shit.
Limp Bizkit stuff. Yeah, and that kind of stuff was palatable with what Eminem was doing there. You could kind of package them and sell them together in some one degree or another, right?
I never, dude, if you would have tried to tell me that 2 years prior to it happening, though, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah.
Because Eminem was like, nah, he was the MC's MC. And so, like I say, when the Infinite record came out, that was vinyl.
Yeah.
You never could have said this guy is going to be as big as fucking Korn. I would have been like, nah, no way. You know what I mean? No, this guy is he's going to headline Warped Tour. I would have never believed it. So I still think that they cracked the code. I don't think it was like obviously supposed to happen. I believe that somebody at Interscope, somebody at fucking Aftermath, and just M himself, they cracked a code together that it's never going to happen again. Nobody's going to crack that code again, you know?
Definitely. And actually, you bringing up Warped Tour is one topic, ironically, I wanted to get on. But before that, just before we kind of jump off the Scribble Jam thing, I did want to actually ask you as well. Is that how you and Dibs initially connected, was through Scribble Jam?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It was through not just Scribble, but also I had made friends with MC out of Maine, and his name was Soul. He was in a group called Live Poets. And me and Idea had played a show in Chicago and met up with a couple other people like Soul and I'm gonna fuck this up. I don't remember who I was there, but nonetheless, via the internet and just kind of like starting to tour, we had made friends with oh yeah, no, Soul had come here and played a show as Live Poets. I can't remember. Anyway, Deep Puddle Dynamics. It was a group I was in with Soul, Dose One, Alias, and produced by, you know, multiple people, DJ Abilities, Mood Swing 9. It was just this loose collective thing where we all got together at my house and recorded a whole album together where we just wrote on the spot and just pulled shit out of our asses, bro, like for real, but had a really good time and captured what that sounded like. And from that, I started to spend time in Cincinnati because that's where Dose had lived. I made friends with Dibs there. And so Scribble Jam, Deep Puddle Dynamics, and the internet, those three things together is how I ended up being Dibs's hype man, which is basically what I became. Like, because Mr. Dibs was a whole thing unto himself.
Yeah.
So it was, in a weird way, there was almost like that, like back in the day when the DJ was the person that was the personality, and the MC was just the guy that was talking in between the songs for the DJ. And he would just be like, throw your hands in the air, everybody, you'll get the party going. There was this feel of that, even though I was the front person and the majority of the music we did was atmosphere music. There was, I always knew his personality, Dibs's personality was so big that he's his own thing. You know what I mean? Like, so having him come out and tour with me and be my DJ was kind of crazy. You know, it'd be similar if like suddenly Z-Trip was my DJ. It's like, well, Z-Trip is a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, like for instance, Z-Trip DJs for LL, right? And so seeing that, it's like kind of this amazing thing because LL is obviously the legend in leather, ladies love, all that shit. But whoa, but Z-Trip's his DJ because Z-Trip is a headliner. You know what I mean? All
He's
by
a
himself.
legend in his own right. Yeah. That's incredible. And before I forget it too, though, you mentioning Warped Tour, one thing I did want to ask you is, from your perspective, do you feel that Warped Tour was one of those really big moments for atmosphere and the trajectory of your career? Because the reason why I ask this is because I've never really heard anybody ask you much about it. But for me, where I come from, right? Brantford, Ontario, just outside of London. I know you've done London. Back in the days, you guys used to do London quite a bit. You know, hour outside of Toronto here. But I grew up, I loved hip hop my whole life. I actually became hip to your guys' music through my punk rock friends who witnessed you guys at Warped Tour. And a lot of people in my hometown, which I would say my hometown has quite a large atmosphere fan base in it. But to me witnessing it, really that love sparked from the people who saw you at Warped Tour and came back and spread the word about you guys.
Here's what I would say. So pre-Warped Tour, let's say we were like right here.
Yeah.
Warped Tour did that. Since then, we've continued to go up.
Yes.
The trajectory from here to Warped Tour was so big in such a short amount of space. Whereas after that, it continued going up like that. And it wasn't just Warped Tour, though. It was Seven's Travels had one video that got kind of heavy rotation on MTV.
Was that the Balance?
That was the Balance video. So suddenly we had music in every home if you had your MTV on. So suddenly there was a platform that made us available to the world, basically, which had never happened before. Epitaph licensed that album. And so suddenly our album was in Target and Walmart and stores like that. That had never happened before. You know, Epitaph doing that for us was huge because it wasn't really a win for them. But for us, it was a huge win. Epitaph is what got us onto Warped Tour. We never would have been on Warped Tour. But Epitaph has such a large presence at Warped Tour that they probably get into talks with Kevin Lyman and go, okay, how many of our bands will you take this year? And Kevin's like, well, I don't want to go too heavy. We'll take 10. And Epitaph goes, okay, well, what about this one? And then Kevin's like, I don't know. Well, here's a rap group, first time ever on Epitaph. That's of interest. Everyone's like, I wonder what the fuck that's all about. So Kevin took it. So Kevin Lyman at Warped Tour, Andy over at Epitaph, whoever was at MTV at the time, I don't remember the name, but there was somebody specific. There was a few people in specific at MTV that were kind of rooting for us at the time. And then different management companies and different booking agencies, we got on their radars. So even though we didn't go work with any of them, our name was in there. Our publicist had an easier time because of all of this, getting us into magazines like your Rolling Stone, your Spin, those things, you know?
Yep.
All of this happened in like this 1 year period. We did a full Euro tour that was like 30 dates, which I haven't done since. Usually my Europe tours are between 8 and 13 dates, you know, but we did this whole, you know, and so there was just this 1 year that was the reason why the trajectory went up so quick. The real question is, what were we able to keep from that? How many of those people that seen us at Warped Tour still ride with us, still check for us when we put out new music? You know what I mean? It's like, how many of those people that seen us in Europe still check for it? You know, that I can't account for. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I do know that I'd never, like, that was a once in a lifetime experience. We blew up, basically, you know, not to the level of when you think of like, you know, like for instance, when we were on Warped Tour, the other bands that were on kind of start out runs like us, it was like My Chemical Romance. I mean, they're fucking huge now. You know what I'm saying? It was like, From First to Last, which was Skrillex's band. I think Skrillex was in that band. So he was on Warped Tour, you know, now he's huge. You know what I mean? Like, a handful of other bands, but Avenged Sevenfold. You know what I mean? Another one. They play fucking arenas and shit, you know. And so we didn't blow up to the level of that, but we blew up to beyond what indie rap was supposed to do. You know, like Jurassic 5 kind of. You remember when we had one of those kind of like takeoffs. Yeah. Then after that, it's just been a matter of trying to, I mean, honestly, I'd be fine maintaining a straight line, but it still continues to like creep up and up and up. Every time we go on tour, there's a few extra people.
A little bit bigger.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and so it's been a pretty interesting journey since Warped Tour, but thank God it's easier to calculate and understand and navigate with the way it is. That year the year of 2004 was probably the most destructive year of my life ever. And it's interesting because it was also that year that, you know, I saw a lot of successes and a lot of really good things happen, but my humanity either wouldn't allow me to just accept the gifts that life was giving me. I had to question it and be skeptical and be like, kind of like, you know, that guy, like, what's going on here? And I dealt with a lot of that confusion by drinking. You know, I dealt with a lot of that by sinking into a hole, you know, so it's one of those things where I look at that time and go, wow, that was really special, but it was also like pretty horrible. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like, I didn't have the tools to negotiate this space without somehow destroying myself. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't wish the blow up on anybody because I think it really takes a lot, I think, for you to make those leaps without having some sort of collateral damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at some of those bands that blew up and I'm like, good for you, man. Like, you were able to take that, do it, and maintain and still be going, because I could see how it kills people. You know what I'm saying? I could see how it ruins people.
100%. And just even there's somewhere I want to go from what you just said, but one of the other things you said earlier is, you know, it's hard to kind of equate like the metrics of who might have seen you at Warped Tour, who still checks for you, etc. You know, obviously I don't have those answers, but one thing I can tell you is a childhood friend of mine. His name is Vaughn Militich. I have to shout him out because he introduced me to your music. But when I told him today I'd be interviewing you again, I said, is there anything, if it fits into the interview, I'll put it in. He said, yes. There's one thing I would like you to ask him. I have the new album. On the song Okay, there's a line I can't wrap my head around. If you could ask him, I'd appreciate it. And he wants to know what you meant by I'm in a tuxedo smoking weed in the shower.
Oh, it just means that well, the juxtaposition of wearing a tuxedo in the shower while trying to smoke weed is just a take on, I'm going to take the good with the bad, with the absurd, I'm here for all of this. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. I'm here for the shit, the crap. I'm also here for the wins and the losses, And so I just wanted a visual to end that verse with. And so the idea of somebody, a tuxedo means that you are it's supposed to be celebratory, but you're in the shower, which indicates solitude. You know what I'm saying? But it also, you're ruining the tuxedo, and you can't smoke weed in the rain or in the shower. You know what I mean? So the whole thing is basically like, it sums it all up: the disappointment, the win, the loss, the joy, everything all summed up into just like, it's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Like really, it's for the visual. Nothing too deep, Vaughn. It's not a super deep line as much as it was intended to create the visual of somebody who's basically saying, hey man, I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever this is. I'm here for it.
Here for whatever comes, kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And so the other place I wanted to take it from what you're talking about, like the year of Seven's travels, the MTV Warped Tour, all of that being, one of the years where kind of the most gifts that that could be given to you musically, as far as the industry goes, given to you, also being your most self-destructive year. I've heard you reference a handful of times about how when you guys made You Can't Imagine How Much Fun We're Having, that was kind of one of those, that album, creating that album was a moment of your life that I think you worded it, was a lot of the most growth and healing up to that point you had ever done musically. And would a lot of that be directly an effect of kind of that year at 2004, I believe you said it was?
Well, it's funny. Yes, 100%. I came out of that year with more of an understanding of the action reaction, understanding my reactions to my actions, understanding, other people's reactions to my actions, and vice versa. And I wanted to figure out how to still maintain what I'm doing, my intention to enjoy what I'm doing, but figure out how to become healthier with it. And a lot of that was informed by the people I was around. So I can look at that timeline post Seven's travels going into the recording of You Can't Imagine, and I saw a shift in a few more friends who had entered my life who were on that shit early, a little healthier, gluten-free, whatever. You know what I'm saying? People that were like on that shit sooner than the rest of us. And so that was the kind of beginning of me trying to get out of the turbulence, find that space in the air that the plane can fucking fly, that's not just shaking, because that's what had happened the prior years. Just a lot of turbulence through all of it, but yeah, the experience of 2003, 2004, 100% shaped the recording of that project, and even the world I entered through touring. I pulled together a live band for the shows because I felt like in 2003 and 04, I was able to drink a 24-pack of beer and go on stage and just drunk my way through a set, and people would fucking clap. And it kind of became a caricature of what I thought I was supposed to be. And so I had to figure out how to, I don't know, scare myself or challenge myself or knock myself off that, so that I could be afraid to get on stage again, so I could have nervousness. So I wasn't drinking to deal with that nervousness, and so all of that was a result, and it's like you could keep going. Lemons was a result of You Can't Imagine It, and Family Sign was a result of Lemons, and so on and so forth. Like all of these albums inform the next album. And it's not just the album. These albums are just symptoms. These are like the side effects or the symptoms. These are the symptoms of life for me, my life. And so when you hear an album, my life isn't about this album. It's the other way around. This album is a symptom of whatever the life is that I'm living. You know what I mean? And so You Can't Imagine was definitely a symptom or a side effect of the life that I had just been living. I'm trying to write my way out of that depression or out of that space of dependency and so on and so forth, to the point where, you know, with Lemons, I was trying to write myself into I wanted to be fucking Bruce Springsteen, not from a financial space, but I wanted to write stories. I wanted to figure out how to be that. And so I just did it. Instead of going to learn how to do it, I just did it. I just forced myself into it. And that's what a lot of this stuff was. You Can't Imagine was me forcing myself awake. Like, that album was all about awakening and getting the fuck out of the like cloud that I'd been living in. And then after I did that, I was like, so now what? And that's why Lemons happened. And then after Lemons, my partner and I decided to have a kid. And that grounded me and made me want to really embrace what that's supposed to look like. More of the Bruce Springsteen shit, kind of, you know what I mean? Which ultimately is how Dad Rap joke began.
And it's cool that you mentioned that, because, you know, as things progress, it's funny actually how we've been discussing things. They've actually naturally progressed chronologically with things that I wanted to ask about. And I wanted to ask, when it came to Lemons, about why so much of that album was story based. So you kind of already hit the hammer on that. Another thing I would like to ask about Lemons, though, is because I do recall seeing you in an interview, and I believe this is around Epitaph, Seven's Travels time, Warp Tour time, or maybe just before Warp Tour. It's a radio interview, and you're talking about just being introduced to the iPod and being in the tour and being on tour, and people asking, you know, what we're going to listen to. You're like, I don't know. It's going to shuffle it. And one person you met, the first name you mentioned was Tom Waits. And then you actually got to work with Tom Waits on Lemons on The Waitress. What was that?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Because me personally, I think Tom Waits is one of the most prolific writers of all time. So I find that a collaboration between you two, I think that's pretty incredible happening in music.
It was surreal. And it was like, it was hard to actually admit to myself that it had happened. You know, I had a few connections to him. We were not separated by many degrees. And so I reached out to him via one of our mutuals, and he reviewed the song that I was suggesting. It was The Waitress. I sent it, and he had said he'd like the song and that he'll try something. And I initially, like, if you listen to Waitress, you'll see that the guitars are pretty subdued. It's just a rhythm guitar, basically. Because originally I was like, maybe he would play guitar or something on this, you know? So I wasn't expecting him to do any vocals. So he sent back a cassette, a 4-track cassette that had my track was on one track, and then the other tracks it was one guitar track and then one track of him, 2 tracks of him beatboxing. And I was just like, what the hell? You know what I mean? And we ended up going with the beatboxing because it was like, well, that actually gave more personality to the song than we even realized that the song had. You know, it was pretty surreal. Like, the whole thing was really surreal. It probably one of my top 10 moments of my life, actually, was to receive that 4-track cassette from him.
Yeah, that's incredible. And for him to beatbox on a record too, yeah, I can only imagine how like mind blown you probably were to receive that.
It was amazing because I did not know that was coming. The note was like, it was a Post-it note too. And I kept that, obviously. I kept that and the tape together. I keep the Post-it note inside of the tape. And it was like him saying, love the song. You know, congrats, good luck, something like that. And then his signature. And I was just like, it's so surreal. Because I still have never met him face to face. You know what I mean? Maybe someday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, out of anybody from the two worlds I can imagine collaborating, you know, that's one that I think is just a perfect marriage because you know, his writing, like something like Small Changes, you know, you don't you don't witness many writers like that in life, you know what I mean? But you're also one of those writers as well too. And I know you don't give yourself that credit, I think sometimes, but you know, both of you guys have this.
Thank you for the pat on the back. Knock it off. I also got to warn you, we only got a couple of minutes left before I have to go to the next interview.
All right, Mike. So with that being said, one thing to wrap it up with, I guess, I would like to when we did the last interview, you told me something I found very interesting. And that it was up until Life Gives You Lemons, you never actually really wrote to Ant's beats. And you had mentioned, I'd asked you about Scapegoat, and I believe you said you had wrote that to Rewinding, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt instrumentals on a cassette. And I think you said Always Coming Back Home, you had maybe wrote to the Shook Ones instrumental, hence the homage at the beginning. I was wondering if, you know, we don't have to get in depth with them, but if I could just run a couple songs by you and see maybe if you could remember what you may have wrote some of these.
I will do my best.
Okay.
I can't promise you anything. And also, to be fair, I by the time we got to God Loves Ugly, a lot of stuff was free written. So a lot of stuff was even written on napkins at the bar, or you know, in a notebook while I'm driving a delivery truck. You know what I mean? Don't tell the police. And so some stuff I'm not going to have any recollection of. It was just easy to think of Shook Ones because I knew I had placed that line on there on purpose. And then and it's easy to remember Scapegoat because anytime anybody brings up Jay-Z, I think of Scapegoat.
Okay. Well, I just listed a few here, and like I said, we don't have to go in depth. But if anything comes to mind on any of them, I'd just love to hear kind of, because I found that so interesting. But the first one I listed here was Shoes.
Oh man. I don't remember, but I will be honest. Shoes was one of the last songs placed on Seven's Travels. And so that may have come from the era of when Ant was trying to force me to write to the actual beats. I have a feeling though that because of the fact that it's got the hook is my shoes are, how about yours? I have a feeling since it's got such a unstructured chorus, since the chorus is just the first bar of the song, it probably wasn't written to the actual beat. Because if Ant would have made me write to that beat, I probably would have tried to come up with an actual chorus to go over that drum breakdown part. So yeah, but I could not tell you what I wrote that shit to. I apologize for the disappointment and for the next disappointment. All right.
No need to apologize. Blame Game.
That was written to MC Shan. The song was called, it's his reggae song. We sampled it at the beginning.
Okay, yep.
What was the name of the fucking song?
I know the song you're talking about. I just can't think.
Another One to Get Jealous Of. It's called Another One to Get Jealous Of. Yep.
Okay, and salute to Shan. He's a friend of a show as well. Smart Went Crazy.
That definitely was not written to that beat. That one was probably just free written because that's just bars. Yeah.
Incredible song, by the way.
Well, to be fair, those are probably bars from all over the place too. There was probably a napkin that had 2 bars on it, and then a notebook page that had 14 bars on it. And then when I came up with the hook, I probably made the hook up on the spot to that beat. The hook is probably, to be fair, written to the beat. But the verses are likely from all over the place. But what I do think was I formatted the verses to that beat, because when he gave me the beat, it's got a at the end of every 2 bars. And if you listen to the way I'm rhyming, I fall off to leave a little bit of space for that hit. And so probably was free written to all over the map. But when I went to go find a beat for it, when we chose that beat, I probably reformatted a little bit to make sure to fit that beat correct how Ant would want me to. And then I probably made the hook up on the spot. I know I made the hook up on the spot because he brought in one of the other fucking beats that were being considered. When you hear the end of Smart Went Crazy, the beat changes.
That next beat?
Yeah. And that was one of the other considerations for that song.
Lug, thank you very much, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great evening. Enjoy the weather up there.
Oh yeah, it's all smoky from all the fires happening up here, but
All right, be safe, man. Be good.
You too, man. Cheers.
Peace.